post contains a frank discussion of the most crucial plot points of Avengers: Infinity War. If you're looking for a spoiler-free, risk-free review, you can find it here. But if you're about to wander into the article below, it means you have either already seen the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or you really, truly, don't mind knowing what's to come. We're going to give you one last chance to bail out, but after this gift the gauntlets are coming off. Are they gone? Good. In truth, Infinity War wasn't actually packed with cameos. Sure, legendary Marvel Comics fixture Stan Lee was there. But with so many main characters to juggle, there wasn't room to add much else. In the film, several Marvel Cinematic Universe favorites, like Shuri, Letitia Wright, and Bucky, Sebastian Stan, essentially have as much screen time as a cameo or bit player might. Still, there are a few fun tidbits for Marvel fans and general pop culture aficionados hidden in the film, so let's run them down quickly to make sure you got them all, starting with the juiciest. Not Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. If you haven't done a complete Marvel rewatch recently, then even someone who considers themselves a fan of the MCU might have missed the significance of the Wraith-like figure who greeted Thanos, Josh Brolin, and Gamora, Zoe Saldana, on their trip to get the Soul Stone. After all, it's been 7 years and 13 movies since Johann Schmidt, aka the Red Skull, menaced Steve Rogers, Chris Evans, in Captain America: The First Avenger. And even if you were shrieking with joy at his return, you might have missed the fact that the MCU recast the part. No, that was not Hugo Weaving reprising his role for what looked like a full CGI rendering. Instead, Marvel hired the Walking Dead star and adept mimic Ross Marquand to do his very best impression. Let's rewind a smidge and consider how the Red Skull even got here. Didn't he die, like all good villains should, at the end of the first Avenger? Well, no. After trying unsuccessfully to wield the first Infinity Stone to make its appearance in the franchise, the Space Stone, aka the Tesseract, Red Skull almost met the fate of some of our most famous and cartoonishly evil cinematic Nazis. His face began to melt off again, but just before it was curtains for Red Skull, he whooshed up into space. In the past, Marvel chief Kevin Feige has hinted that the studio was interested in Red Skull returning one day. The way we showed his demise in the first Avenger was to showcase to people that he could perhaps pop up again sometime. I honestly don't know when or where that would be, but Weaving was apparently not interested in a reprise. As he told IGN back in 2012, "I did sign up for a number of pictures, and I suppose, contractually, I would be obliged to, if they forced me to. But they wouldn't want to force someone to do it, if they didn't want to. I think I've done my dash with that sort of film. It was good to do it and try it out, but to be honest, it's not the sort of film I seek out and really am excited by. As an actor, to do all sorts of different films is great. It stretches you in different ways. But I increasingly like to go back to what I used to always do, which is to get involved with projects that I really have a personal affiliation with." The Red Skull may not actually be alive. You notice he had no feet, right? But if any of the plot of Avengers 4 deals with the resurrection of Gamora, and it might, we may see Marquand's take on Red Skull again. Peter Dinklage as Eitri the Dwarf King. Game of Thrones star Dinklage and his occasionally dodgy Tyrion Lannister accent crop up midway through the movie in order to create a new weapon for Thor, Chris Hemsworth. The hammer Mjolnir may be toast, as you remember, but Eitri does manage to cook up a shiny new axe called Stormbreaker, which Thor also nicknames the Godkiller. Dinklage was long rumored to be involved in this project, though the details on his role were kept under wraps. When asked if Dinklage would be recognizable in the part, "You never know with these Marvel bit players," directors Joe and Anthony Russo hesitated and said, "It may take you a beat or two, but you'll certainly recognize him." That's all we can say. That's likely a reference to the fact that Dinklage, who usually stands at 4 feet 5 inches, was sized up in order to tower over Thor. This giant size makeover is a break with Eitri the Dwarf King's traditional comic book look. Stan Lee as the bus driver. As we mentioned earlier, Stan Lee, of course, is here. Recently, Lee said this cameo was his funniest cameo of all. Honestly, I have no clue why. His Guardians 2 cameo had many more layers. But, hey, this one was functional and not too distracting, which is what you need in a movie as crowded as this one. Carrie Coon is Proxima Midnight. If you say, "Who?" when I say Proxima Midnight, well, you're not alone. She wasn't even the showiest of Thanos' little henchmen. That honor goes to Ebony Maw. What fun names, the fish-faced goon dripping with disdain voiced by Irish TV legend Tom Lawler. but Proxima Midnight was the only woman working in service to Thanos, which makes her easy enough to pick out of the pack. Though the character was entirely CGI, Marvel didn't skimp when it came to picking an actress to voice the spear-tossing Proxima. The Leftovers and Fargo star Carrie Coon brought her famously dry Midwestern delivery to the part, but without her incredibly expressive face to go with it, some of the magic was lost in translation. Something blew before they became the stewards of this era of the Marvel Cinematic